Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling the winter 2025-2026 forecast, and it is a really messy one.
It is. Usually, we look straight to the Pacific, to ENSO for the big story.
Right.
But this year is different. It's really being driven by two very volatile competing forces.
Which are a weak, sort of transitioning La Nina on one side.
And on the other, this incredibly powerful and early atmospheric event, a sudden stratospheric warming, or SSW.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear then. We need to figure out which one of these forces is actually in control.
Exactly. And what that really means for you in North America and Eurasia, what all the analysis suggests is we're looking at a classic front-loaded winter.
Front-loaded meaning all the action is packed right into the start.
Yes. All the volatility is in December and early January.
Okay, so the consensus seems to be placing almost all its bets on the atmospheric side on that SSW.
It is.
But wait, isn't stratospheric coupling, isn't that often really unpredictable? I mean, how can the data be so sure this massive cold air displacement will actually hit us?
That's a really important question. And it all boils down to timing.
The timing of the warming event.
Exactly. The SSW happened so early, we're talking late November. That timing ensures the polar vortex collapse forces the maximum cold right when we're climatologically at our coldest anyway.
December and early January.
Right. This is that tropospheric coupling in action. The warming way up high forces the jet stream down below into this really contorted or meridional pattern.
So instead of a fast, straight flow from west to east, it's what? It's meandering wildly north and south?
You got it. And this forces these persistent negative phases of the Arctic and North Atlantic oscillations. We call it high latitude blocking.
Think of it like slamming a massive door shut over Greenland.
That's a perfect analogy. It slams the door shut, and that then forces the frigid core of the polar vortex right out of the Arctic and down into North America and Europe.
And that's what unlocks the guaranteed cold.
That's the mechanism.
So has this happened before? An SSW just overriding a weak La Nina like this?
It has. The year 2000 is a fantastic historical analog. We had a weak La Nina, just like this one, but it was paired with an early PV disruption.
And what happened?
That December was dramatically cold and snowy. It's a great example that proves when the SSW hits this early and this hard, its forcing is the primary driver. It just overpowers the oceanic signal.
Okay, so if the SSW is in the driver's seat, what does that mean for La Nina? Is its signal just irrelevant, or does its weakness add a different kind of risk?
It adds immense uncertainty for later in the season. The La Nina itself is weak, only marginally cool.
Right.
But what's really fascinating is how unreliable it's become as a predictor. If you look at the data since 1991, 5 out of 13 of these weak La Nina events actually resulted in the warmest third of winters.
Wait, say that again? You're saying a La Nina, which we've always linked to cold, wet patterns, is now basically a 50-50 predictor for temperature.
Precisely. It's nearly a coin toss.
Right.
Its reliability has just eroded. And you pair that with a 61% probability that La Nina transitions to neutral in the January to March timeframe.
And the predictability of the whole season just falls off a cliff after mid-January.
It falls off a cliff, yes.
Okay, let's get to the regional impacts before that cliff arrives.
Yeah.
In that December window, where is the cold and snow corridor going to be strongest?
For North America, the forecast really favors a very cold, stormy zone. Think Northern Plains, Northern Rockies, and the Great Lakes. We're expecting significant lake effect snow, and early.
And what about the coasts, the mid-Atlantic?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. The SSW works with another pattern, the MJO, and that synergy is really vital because it suppresses the warm southeast ridge. That's what maximizes the chances for those disruptive coastal snow events early on.
And across the pond in Europe.
The SSW forces a big pattern reversal there too. It builds that Greenland block we talked about, which reverses the airflow.
So instead of warm Atlantic air,
You're pulling air from the north and east. You're transporting Arctic air right into the continent. The forecasts suggest a pretty severe cold start to December for Central and Northern Europe. Maybe something echoing the winters of the 1980s.
So to wrap this all up, it sounds like we have unusually high certainty for a really volatile, cold, and snowy December. And that's all thanks to the SSW.
That is the key takeaway. But, and this is a big but, that certainty just vanishes beyond early January. Any operational risk models, they have to account for that sudden shift.
So here's something for you to mull over. The polar vortex displacement guarantees that frigid air is available, but the La Nina transition means we have almost no idea what happens after mid-January. What does that kind of front-loaded volatility mean for sectors like agriculture or transportation? They rely on knowing if cold and snow will stick around. That's the question to consider until our next deep dive.